The Astræus drifted in silent vigil amidst the swirling luminescence of the Veil Nebula. Outside the reinforced viewport, violet and teal tendrils of ionized gas danced like wraiths in the void. The survey vessel's hull thrummed gently, its engines idling as the crew awaited the culmination of their century-long mission, the revival of Subject H-47. In Cryo Bay A. Frost-coated cylinders lined the walls in neat rows. Each contained a volunteer rare enough to warrant interstellar transport: biologists, xenolinguists, exoengineers. But only one embarked on the ultimate gambit, 100 years of suspended animation to awaken light years from home. Captain Elijah Kane H-47 had volunteered for the unknown, trusting the Federation's cutting-edge cryotech to shepherd him through the centuries. Dr. Myra Solis stood alone before Cylinder 47, her breath fogging the viewport. Her fingers danced over the console, overriding secondary safeties, inputting the 3 keys of her DN signature. The ambient lights dimmed as the chamber's temperature indicator began its slow ascent from -196 °C toward physiological zero. In the control room beyond, technician Yara Kovacs monitored the readouts, voice hushed in anticipation. Core temperature rising, 150, -100. 50. Her tone was mechanical, almost devotional. A gentle hiss filled the chamber as the outer shell of Kane's pod dissolved in a fine mist of nitrogen. The inner lid retracted with a pneumatic sigh. Within, the cryogel that had protected Kane's body since 2275 receded like a living wave, revealing pale skin stretched over perfect musculature unchanged by time. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Dr. Solis keyed the final command. Life support infusion engage. Tiny needles deployed around Kane's wrists, administering nanofluid to clear cellular blockages. The chamber's lights warmed from cobalt to soft amber. On the biomonitor, pulses flickered into being. Heartbeat, neural oscillations, hormone levels all within expected optimal ranges. Yara exhaled. He's stable. Vital signs green across the board. The cryodeck doors slid open, and 2 medbots glided forward. Their scanners whirred in polite chirps as they took readings. A 47's eyes remained closed. His chest rose in even, measured breaths. Dr. Solis watched, enthralled. The moment felt sacred. Then the monitor stuttered. An alert flashed on Solis's console. Power surge, cryodeck sector. She frowned. Yara, check the grid draw. That can't be right. Before Yara could respond, the chamber shuddered. The steel floor groaned. The medbot staggered as if struck by an invisible force. Sparks rained from the lighting conduits. Emergency sirens blared. Dr. Solis's heart slammed against her ribs. Abort! Shut down revival! She jabbed the kill switch. The infusion halted. The chamber's lights flickered. But the stuttering power drain persisted, draining the emergency backup. The cryocylinder, even now half open, vibrated. Frost cracked like glass. Through the mist, Kane's eyelids fluttered. He sat up, as fluid and natural as breathing. He did not gasp for air. Instead, he paused, tilting his head as though listening to a distant melody beyond human perception. Chaos erupted around him. Technicians dove for cover as consoles exploded in showers of sparks. The reinforced doors behind him buckled, metal twisting with a scream. Through the viewport, other crew members in the hall recoiled. Dr. Solis lunged forward. Step back. All stations eject the deck. In one smooth motion, Kane stood. He rose to his full height, easily 2 meters, and lifted the slab of the cryocylinder as if it were made of foam. The cylinder's base lashed out, catapulting debris across the room, but he caught a falling strut with a single hand. His skin glowed faintly in the haze, muscles rippling under the skin without a hint of strain. Solis's breath caught in her throat. He's uncontainable. Kane's eyes gray as storm-tossed seas locked on hers. For a moment, the storm of energy in the chamber stilled. Then he turned, stepping through the wreckage with silent purpose. The emergency lights snapped on, illuminating the path he strode, as though he were the eye of the very storm. On the control room's view screen, alarms continued to flash. Power lines burned out one after another. And through the smoke, the silhouette of a man once fragile, now transcendent emerged. Dr. Solis pressed a trembling hand to the viewport. "By the stars," she whispered, voice quivering. "What have we done?" The aftermath of the revival protocol left Cryo Bay A in ruins. Emergency lights cast jittering shadows across scorched consoles and twisted metal. Dr. Mira Solis, shaken but resolute, rallied the remaining crew behind the reinforced blast doors. "Seal this bay," she ordered. "Contain him safely." But already, Captain Elijah Kane was gone, his footprints smoldering across the titanium floor plates. Half an hour later, the Astraeus corridors were tense with whispered fear. Word spread that H-47 had resurfaced in engineering, and Chief Engineer Tarek Yilmaz led a small team to confront him. They found him kneeling beneath the massive warp conduits, unbothered by the sparking arcs of plasma crackling overhead. As the engineers approached, Tarek steeled himself. "Captain Kane," he called, voice echoing. "Step away from the conduits." Kane rose with deliberate calm. His muscles flexed like living cables as he straightened. Without a word, he laid a single gaunted hand upon the phosphor-lined conduit. The storm of blue-white energy recoiled, as if pushed back by an invisible barrier. Sparks snapped and died. The hum of the circuit stilled. The engineers gaped. Alarm klaxons shattered the silence as shipwide diagnostics detected a negative energy flux. The conduits themselves reported anomalous readings. Magnetic fields unspooling, gravity modifiers destabilized. The Astraeus main reactor, designed to moderate warp jumps, now oscillated at micro-quantum frequencies. If left unchecked, the reactor could implode. Tarek's voice trembled. "He's rewiring our physics." He raised his scanner to Kane, who met his gaze evenly. The display showed tachyonic resonance, a signature never before seen in human tissue. Meanwhile, in the Vivea medbay, the medical droid Kix-9 had been dispatched to assess Kane's condition. Security footage later revealed the droid entering Kane's path, chirping diagnostics. In the viewfinder, the droid extended its manipulators to scan his back. Within moments, Kane reached out and pinched the droid's chassis between thumb and forefinger. With a soft click, the droid's alloy frame crumpled like paper. Engineer Yara Kovacs, summoned by the blast, arrived just as KIX-9's power core fizzled. She stumbled back. "The Dr. Solis, he's stronger than our materials." Her voice cracked with awe. Convinced they needed data, Dr. Solis proposed a controlled test. In the ship's hydroponics garden, removed from critical systems, they set up a series of stress gauges and duranium plates. Kane stood barefoot on the soft moss, silent under the verdant glow. One by one, they instructed him to exert force. Flex an arm, press a hand to the plates, lift a standard-issue maintenance drone. He complied. The duranium plates bent beneath his palm as though they were tinfoil. Strain gauges toppled. He lifted the 2-meter drone high overhead and set it down as gently as a child placing a toy. When one of the strain gauges ticked into the red and shattered, the team dared not intervene. Hours later, exhaustion tugged at the crew. Their instruments had logged terajoules of force, gravitational distortions, and exotic particle emissions. Data that would revolutionize physics if he could be studied unhindered. Yet even as they recorded, the balance of power shifted. Kane's mere presence in civilian areas caused subtle anomalies. Fluorescent lights pulsed in resonance with his heartbeats. Ventilation fans hesitated under the pull of his aura. Dr. Solis and Engineer Yilmaz exchanged worried glances. They realized that Kane's strength was not mere muscle. It was a fundamental rewrite of the laws governing mass and energy around him. That night, in the observation lounge, Captain Saren Cho convened her senior officers. The holographic star chart above them rippled, echoing the nebulous currents outside. "He saved the ship," Solis argued, voice firm. "He's an asset, perhaps the greatest in human history." Cho nodded slowly, but her eyes were haunted. "Or a weapon beyond containment. If his power continues to grow, nothing can stand against him." Below the deck, Kane slept in a reinforced isolation cell, the soft hum of life support monitors the only sound. In his dreams, if such a being could dream, he wandered fields of golden wheat, lifting boulders as easily as petals. He woke with dawn, ready to face a universe that both feared and needed him. Tomorrow, they would discover that strength alone cannot chart the course of destiny, and that some power, once awakened, can never be confined. Dawn's pale glow filtered through the observation dome as the Astræus drifted on a new course 1, plotted by Captain Kane himself. The Veil Nebula's bioluminescent storms now pulsed around the hull like an electric cradle. The crew gathered in the central gallery, tension coiling in every throat. Before them, the star chart shimmered with unprecedented detail, a massive ion vortex churning ahead, unlike any phenomenon in known space. Captain Saren Cho cleared her throat. "This vortex lies beyond our mission parameters," she said. "It's unstable, likely to tear us apart if we approach." She turned to Dr. Solis. "Your subject insisted on this course correction." "Explain." Dr. Solis swallowed, glancing at Kane's isolation cell, now open but monitored. "Preliminary readings show the vortex is a rare quantum anomaly, a rift between space-time strata. It could be a conduit to faster-than-light transit, or the birthplace of exotic particles. Kane claims he can stabilize our approach long enough for us to collect data." Murmurs rippled through the officers. Lieutenant Ayman Reyes, navigator extraordinaire, frowned at her console where her plotted trajectory wavered like a leaf in the wind. "His stability field is holding our vector." "Steady," she confirmed. "But if it falters, it won't falter." Kane's calm voice interrupted from the door. He stepped into the chamber, arms unfolded, expression serene. "Trust in what I am," he said. With a nod from Cho, the crew suited up for an away operation. In engineering, Tariq Yilmaz recalibrated the ship's secondary thrusters to operate in Kane's field. "If his aura synchronizes with our magnetic flux, we may ride the storm rather than crash into it," he explained, sweat beading at his brow. Moments later, the Astræus shuddered as it hit Kane's stabilizing wave. Through the dome, the vortex loomed, coils of violet lightning wrapped around a glowing blue core, spiraling endlessly. The ship glowed with an otherworldly sheen, hull plating rippling under energies beyond understanding. Dr. Solis uploaded probes into the void, their sensors blinking in the swirling storm. But then, alarms erupted, probes overloaded, data streams erratic. Reports crackled in. Gravity spiked at impossible levels. Time dilation fields leached into the ship's aft sections. The Astræus groaned as if wounded. "Reversal!" Cho shouted. "Pull us back!" Kane lifted a hand. The storm's roaring howl dimmed. Pressure on the hull eased. The probes reactivated, streaming stable telemetry. Within minutes, the ship was bathed in a harmonious hum. Sensors revealed a corridor of calm carved through the heart of the vortex, a tunnel of pristine space-time. "Collect everything," Kane urged softly. "This is the edge of possibility." Darter probes flung forward, mapping the tunnel's geometry in luminous tracings. Exotic particles, tachyons, xenosilicates, quantum foam danced in sensor logs. Scientists wept at the scope of it. A pathway to uncharted realms, a library of cosmic secrets. But as the Astraeus prepared to withdraw, the vortex convulsed. A shockwave rippled outward, shattering the calm. The tunnel began to collapse from the inside, space-time fissuring with ear-splitting cracks. The ship lurched toward the core. Evasive. Yelled Cho. "Kane, do something now." He sprang from the console and dashed onto the observation deck. Pressing both hands to the viewport, he braced himself as the hull strained. A shock coursed through him, visible in the way the storm's light bent around his form. The vortex's collapse slowed, giving the Astraeus precious seconds to back away. With a final, resonant pulse from Kane, the vortex snapped shut behind them like the lure of a cosmic trap reset. Silence fell, broken only by the ragged breathing of exhausted crew. The star chart blinked back to normal dot in the aftermath. Cho turned to Kane. "You didn't just stabilize us. You saved us again." He met her gaze without pride. "The universe has rules," he said softly. "But some doors remain locked. We opened one today. We must decide which ones to step through." Dr. Solis pored over the data holostream. The implications: faster than light travel, new energy sources, quantum communication. Her voice trailed off in wonder. Cho placed a hand on Solis's shoulder. "And with Elijah Kane at our side, we have the strength to explore them if we can manage the cost." Below decks, the Astraeus drifted into the quiet afterglow of discovery. The crew realized that they had not merely surveyed the Veil Nebula, they had rewritten the frontier of human possibility. And in the heart of their voyage stood the man too strong to confine, now too vital to ignore. The corridors of the Astraeus hummed with uneasy energy. Fluorescent panels flickered in resonance with Captain Elijah Kane's heartbeat, casting long shadows across polished bulkheads. In the mess hall, a sparse table of crew members gathered. Beneath the soft glow of mood lamps, none more uneasy than Captain Saren Cho. Kane sat at the head, hands folded atop the table. Across from him, Dr. Myra Solis tapped her datapad, her eyes bright with possibility. Yet even she couldn't mask the tension in her voice. "We can't deny it," Solis began. "Elijah saved the ship time and again. His abilities are unprecedented." She scrolled through schematics of the quantum vortex and structural analyses of the hydroponics damage. "With him, we could pioneer new transport methods, terraform hostile worlds." Cho raised a hand. "I know what he is. But every time he uses his strength, reality bends. We risk fracturing space-time or harming those we aim to protect." She stood, pacing. "I've consulted the Federation mandate. No single individual should possess unchecked power that threatens a starship's integrity." Kane inclined his head. "Then prove to me you trust me." He slid from his seat and walked to the viewport. Outside, the Veil Nebula writhed in its cosmic dance, stalwart streaks of violet and teal. I awakened to defend life. "If you fear me, you must tell me how to earn your faith." A tense silence fell. Then the mess intercom crackled to life. Lieutenant Imarias's voice, tight with urgency. "Captain Cho, we've picked up a distress beacon from Nova Chamberlain Station 10 light minutes ahead. Structural collapse imminent. They have less than 5 minutes before the plasma storm takes them." Cho's jaw clenched. She exchanged a glance with Solis. "Set a course," she ordered, "and prepare Kane's field generator." 20 seconds later, the Astraeus shuddered as it dropped out of warp. Ahead, Nova Chamberlain Station spun in turbulence, metal panels peeling away under the plasma howls of the nebula's edge. The station's skeletal frame groaned, its translucent habitat domes flickering. Reyes keyed her console. "Shields can't hold much longer." Cho turned to Kane, who stood calm as a mountain. "Your choice," she said. "Step through the airlock, or we watch them die." He offered a small nod. "Open the door." In the docking ring, the hatch slid free, and Kane's tall form was swallowed by the storm. The crew watched through live feed monitors as he vanished into the plasma gale. An instant of silence, then a burst of azure light. On the station's frigid exterior, massive debris rained down. Channeling every ounce of his strength, Kane cradled a mangled habitat segment in one arm while using his other hand to sweep plasma arcs away like swatting embers. Dust and flame recoiled from his skin, forming a glowing shroud that deflected the worst of the storm. Inside, engineers sealed bulkheads, coordinating evacuations. One by one, civilians sprinted towards safety quarters as the station trembled. Overcomes, Solus guided Kane. "Reduce your field radius, extend upward. Protect the habitat dome, but avoid the support struts." Kane's force aura shimmered. A dome of energy blossomed, shielding refugees. The station lurched gravity, fields fluctuating so wildly that one evacuee slipped from the walkway. In that moment, Kane dove, snatched the person mid-fall, and placed them gently on the corridor floor. But as the field held, the station's outer ring groaned, stress fractures sputtering outward. A massive support beam snapped loose, barreling down toward a group of civilians. Without hesitation, Kane caught it mid-air, then pivoted and slammed it into a safe trajectory away from the hull. "Enough!" shouted one terrified officer. "He's tearing the station apart." Cho's voice cut through comms. "We're all tearing apart if he stops." With a final pulse, Kane expanded his stabilizing aura, knitting the damaged supports back into alignment. Under his hands, torn metal rebonded. Fractured circuits realigned. The station's skeletal frame quivered, then stilled. When the last evacuee reached the evacuation shuttles, Kane released his field. He stood amidst the wreckage, towering, serene, and utterly human in exhaustion. The storm's tailwind shrank, and the station's emergency lights flickered steady. Minutes later, Kane returned to the Astraeus, stepping through the hatch with smudges of plasma glow on his uniform. Cho met him, her expression a mixture of awe and relief. "Healer and hammer," she murmured. "You saved them, Elijah." He offered a weary smile, and nearly destroyed the place in the process. Dr. Solus approached, placing a hand on Kane's arm. "You did more than save lives. You taught us the cost of power. All that's left is to decide how we move forward." Cho nodded. She addressed the bridge crew, gathered by the viewport. "Effective immediately, Captain Kane joins my senior staff. We'll chart a course back to the Federation, present our findings, and debate our next mission." Kane lifted his head. "Wherever we go, I stand with you," he said. "Not as a weapon, but as a guardian." Outside, the Veil Nebula storms pulsed like a heartbeat. Inside, the crew of the Astraeus settled into a new truth. They had awoken something too strong to contain, but in its strength lay humanity's hope. And as the starship slipped into the starlit currents, they knew their greatest voyage was only just beginning.